Hello and welcome back to the game room. You know what I love? Video games. You know what I love? Talking about games. And it seems like a lot of people these days who cover games seem to hate them, or at least the people who play them. Well, that's not me, and that's not the 3,240 of you beautiful people checking out this video here today. You know what's funny? Every week we get deeper and deeper into 2024. It seems like that intro gets even more and more true. In fact, there's articles coming out now where game developers are saying how much they hate gamers. And a side tangent here, we'll get to the Xbox 360 games, but I just gotta dive into that a little bit. It seems like we have a phenomenon right now with game developers where we have people of two camps. We either have the AAA development companies where everyone working there seems to not like games. I mean, I noticed this back in 2013 when I used to be in retail sales in the Bay Area, and I would get all these people working at Microsoft, Sony. They'd say, yeah, I work for Xbox, I work for PlayStation. I'd be like, oh great, what games do you like? I'm like, I don't like games. And it's funny, at the time I said this was a major issue, and I told this to other people, and they're like, that's not a big deal. You don't have to love games to make them. Well, 10 years later, that doesn't seem to be the case. So you have that with AAA. And then with indie game developers, it's sort of that auteur movement you get with a lot of movies where the people making the indie games are very passionate about what they're making because they're making art for themselves, not necessarily for the audience. And a lot of those people are making it as a cathartic experience for themselves where they want to see themselves in their art, which is great. Those can be good, don't get me wrong, they can be impactful and meaningful, but a cathartic experience is not necessarily a fun experience. So that's why I find myself going back to the mid-2000s, early 2010s, because a lot of these games, they're fun, and they're made by people who like games. So if that is what you are interested in as well, come join us here. We're not going to talk about Xbox all the time, but we're always going to talk about fun games. All right, we got 10 more Xbox 360 games, guys. Let's take a look. There's a lot of games out there, some of which you've never even heard of. That's where I come in. My name's Luke. I've been playing games since the age of 2, and I have no life.
This is my game room.
So this week I have picked up a couple of heavy hitters. There was another swap meet at my local game store. It was kind of slim pickings for the most part, but I did come across a few phenomenal deals, as well as overpaid for this first game we're going to talk about, which is honestly one I thought I'd missed the boat on. I never thought I got it for a reasonable price. Now, when I saw it, it was listed for $100, which, oh my goodness, if you told me a game based on a rapper of the early 2000s would be worth that much money on the 360 4 years ago, I would have thought you're crazy. But I did pick up 50 Cent's Blood on the Sand, which is a sequel to his other game I guess he had on the PS2. I remember the PS2 game. I remember seeing it and thinking, what on earth? Why are they making this? And then this is a sequel to it, and it's a third-person semi-cover-based shooter. It is co-op, couch co-op, which is super cool. And it almost has a kind of combo system that is similar to, say, a Bulletstorm, where when you kill an enemy, you then get a timer, they'll kill another enemy, and there's an up-and-close melee mode where you have button prompts to then knock out the enemies. And there's also a bullet time meter you can build up, but for the life of me, I don't know how to consistently build up that bullet time meter. And it's just chock full of 50 Cent music. The game starts with you finishing your concert in some generic, I'm guessing South American or Central American country. And within 5 seconds, you walk off stage, are handed a shotgun because the guy's not trying to pay you. And then just all bedlam breaks out. Like, this is actually a really funny concept, and good for 50 Cent for even being on board this, because this is him. Once again, he's doing the voice acting, much like Vin Diesel in Chronicles of Riddick. This is him going whole hog into it. And you know what? I got it for $80. So still, in my opinion, way more expensive, but what are you going to do? This is one of the harder to find games on the system. I've never actually seen it in person before today. Is it worth that much money? Not by a country mile. But It's really fun. If it was, so say if you had gotten this a few years ago, back when it was $10, $15, $20, one of the best hidden gems on the system. Now the price of entry is so high that the jank of the game, as far as the cover-based system, is not the most intuitive in the world. Sometimes the enemies will just die instantly from a shot. Sometimes they have a bigger health meter. It's the pathing in the levels isn't the greatest. And, you know, some of the enemies even stop attacking you. One time I almost got stuck in a section because there was an enemy hiding off in the corner that I had to take out. But serviceable, fun couch co-op, definitely something I am not regretful for paying for, because, like I said, this is probably going to be one that just continues to climb in value. But as far as, there are better third-person shooters. There are much better third-person shooters, but as far as the, if you like so bad it's good games, this is a game that's actually very good, but it's also so bad it's very good. So highly recommended. If you can find it for a deal, go for it. There's the PS3 version I saw this weekend too. I think it was only like 50 or 70. So I prefer the 360, but if you just want to play the game, the PS3 version is cheaper and unlikely to get a re-release just because of all the licensing involved with it. But hey, stranger things has happened. But that was the first game I found at the swap meet. And then the second game, I cannot believe I got this game. So I actually have not played it because the dang thing is still sealed. And that is Transformers Fall of Cybertron. And it includes the slipcase. So that is a sealed game. It's so funny. This was the first thing I bought there. I couldn't find anything, and I found this game, and I'm like, oh man, $60. I've heard this is really good. It has the slipcover. It's hard to find. And then I open it, I'm like, oh my god, it's sealed. All right, I can't spend $60. Like, it's hard to justify opening these, even for myself. I find the whole concept of sealed collecting so stupid. Like, if I had someone I knew who had a sealed copy, I would, or a complete in box, I would trade a sealed copy 1-to-1 for it, because that's how stupid I consider it. Now, the joke was, at least you know it's going to work. You know, it might, maybe. But yeah, the guy was just giving it away. Like, he had it marked at 65, and he's like, yeah, I'll give it to you for 30. I'm like, are you kidding me? Deal. Done. And, you know, I bought a couple other things from him, too. I got Mario Party 6 for a screaming deal, too. And just, you know, that's what you look for. You look for people at these swap meets, game conventions. You know, if they have a store, that's one thing, but you will find collectors that are just liquidating their collection, and they're happy to cut deals. So don't be afraid to ask. Don't be afraid to bargain. Don't be afraid to negotiate. However, I can't talk about this game. I know there's 2 Transformers games on the 360 that are very, very well regarded. There's the Fall of Cybertron. I think the other one's called War for Cybertron. They look to be third-person action mech games. I mean, every time I see footage for it, it looks like knack, but that is probably a huge insult to people who like these games. But another one you should be on the lookout for, and, I mean, the main thing I saw was I saw the dang slipcover. So there are a handful of games on the 360 that come with a slipcover, some of which I had no idea, like Afro Samurai, Ninja Gaiden 2, a couple other ones, that Naval Assault game, I believe, has one, and they're so stupid, they increased the value, and this one has got, I think this is probably the original sticker when the thing came out. It's got a little damage on it, but hey, the actual game is pristine. And well, how am I going to open this, guys? How am I going to open this? I can't even just download a code. So we'll see. We'll see if we get to that one. But those were my 2 big pickups from this weekend. And super stoked, because those were 2 that I did not expect to knock off my 360 list. All right. Now to some games that are not nearly as good. Primarily this one. So I've heard of the Shadowrun series. Everyone says how great it is. I got the SNES one, loved it. Got the Genesis one. I've tried it a little bit, need to give it some more shot. And then there was one, this was before the PC ones that got released on Switch and all that, which I should have picked up, the damn trilogy, and I didn't. But there was a game on the Xbox 360, and there's very little information on it, and that is Shadowrun. So this game, I got this at GameStop years ago because it was Shadowrun. I remember thinking, oh, the Shadowruns on the Genesis and the SNES are great. This one's gotta be good, even if it's not that great. Knowing nothing about it. And today, or not today, a couple days ago, I finally popped this in. It is basically an online multiplayer only game. There is no campaign, which is kind of crazy that So many games we get nowadays have no campaign. They're nothing but online only. But a game like this that is universally regarded as trash is more or less, there's 2 game modes I saw. There's a Counter-Strike type mode, and then the other one I'm guessing is a straight deathmatch. So you have, the way Counter-Strike mode is, it's one match, one life, and then you buy your weaponry at the beginning of the match. So if you get a lot of kills, you get more money, you can buy better loadouts, and so on and so forth. And it's using the Shadowrun universe. So there's characters that look like from the Shadowrun games I played before, but that is kind of the end of the comparisons, and this game is not good. I'm pretty sure the servers are down. If they're open, I don't know. I don't have Xbox Gold anymore, or Xbox Game Pass now, whatever the hell they're calling it. But yeah, not this one. Stay the hell away from it. If you've ever wondered, yes, it's like Counter-Strike with a Shadowrun skin over it. Bad controls, really weird level design, and just I guess it was one of the things though. You could play with Windows Vista. It's funny, there was cross-platform with this with PC when it originally came out, which is pretty cool. Pretty cool. All right. Now, here's one that I've been avoiding talking about. Everyone says these games are really well known. I was not aware of them, but that's par for the course. I wasn't super aware of most of the 360 catalog, other than the Dorito Mountain Dew Bros games. But this game is called The Darkness. Now, The Darkness, this is still a pretty affordable game. You can find it for $10, $20. Starts off, I guess you're a mobster who looks like, a real edgelord, and you're in a car chase, and things just hit the fan. Your guys get into a car crash, and then there's this weird demonic voice that's just waiting to be unleashed, and then all of a sudden you have this big black smoke-like thing attached to you, and now it can cause, deaths and rooting people and doing all this other kind of crazy crap, which is pretty damn cool. I'm not gonna lie. I had a good time. I thought I was just getting into a first-person shooter experience, but the kind of the smoke monster thing definitely cuts it a foot above where it originally was, and it is serviceable enough. It's cheap enough. Highly recommend grabbing this one. There is a sequel as well. Maybe we'll talk about that next week or something of that nature, but I have only played this one, and I did enjoy it. I did think it was solid and wanted to see more from it, and it's just one of those unique things that you saw a lot of on the 360, and you don't really get much of that this day. Okay. This game must have the best PR person in the world. I, for years, have seen this game everywhere, and it always looked like a knockoff Call of Duty, a knockoff Medal of Honor, Battlefront, something I had zero interest in. And then maybe about a month ago, because everyone's talking about the Xbox FOMO, they all started talking about this game like it's great, or it's a great game to pick up, or a quote-unquote hidden gem. And that game is Homefront, which I did pick up for maybe $5, so maybe that's it. This is still a dirt cheap game. You can find it anywhere, get it anywhere. I think it's got a far more interesting concept than it does actually gameplay. It was made, I think, in 2011 or 12, and it's about North Korea under Kim Jong-un basically reunifying Korea, then going on a conquering spree, getting Japan, all while the U.S. is starting to fall, until in 2027 they have legit invaded North America, and I guess you are fighting through the streets of America as the resistance, which is a very interesting concept. I did not know, like for years I've always wondered, what would it be like having a Call of Duty take place in America, or this or that, or if we're on our streets kind of thing. Well, this game goes for it. Definitely does go for it, and it's pretty damn brutal. The opening scene's very immersive. I was on board. I could see why people like this, and then I started playing the game, and it definitely does not have the polish or the finesse of a Call of Duty. It feels like I'm playing Call of Duty with worse accuracy. It seems like the guns go out of ammo way too quickly. There's no cover-based system, but you can take cover. It seemed like it was trying to emulate something that it wasn't, and I just couldn't get past it. Even with the interesting story, even with the interesting background to everything in it, I did not like it. I did not like it at all. Now, for $5, pick it up. Because you might like it. I mean, I've played a lot of first-person shooters. There's a lot of different first-person shooters out there. For me, though, after playing things like Spec Ops: The Line, Fuse, even some of the third-person games, even if just playing The Darkness before that, I mean, it felt more janky than something like Legendary, and I don't know. The concept's super intriguing, really kind of uncanny to see it kind of not parallel our world, but in a way where it is an alternate timeline that is very believable. So. Well, it's very believable and then not at all. Just because, come on, America. But, get it. I mean, there's a reason why everyone's bringing it up, because it's cheap. I think that's the main reason why everyone's like, oh, let's look for a game that's not, $20, $30. Well, there you go. $5 game. You can pick it up. All right, here's one that I picked up at the last swap meet. Now, strangely enough, I have no experience with this series. It always looked like Jason Statham the game. And it's funny when I hear people talk about Agent 47 or 42, whatever it is, and say how influential they are, because I just don't really see it. And that is Hitman Absolution. This is another dirt cheap game. And it seems to have a campaign and then a multiplayer. I believe the servers are down for the multiplayer. Either that or, once again, because I don't have Xbox Live, it didn't let me do it. But it wasn't even giving me the option to do it, so I could only play the single player. And it's a lot more stealth-based than I thought it would be. I expected it to be more in line with the James Bond games, Quantum of Solace and Bloodstone, but no, this felt much more akin to Dark, or something where I didn't want to be seen, which kind of turned me off on it. It really did. I don't know. It's also the third game, I believe, or it's definitely deep enough in the series where they're referencing previous game storylines. Like, the main person you're going after to hit seems to be someone that was important in previous games. And so, not to get into spoilers on that, but that has me thinking, okay, maybe I dipped my toe into the wrong game. But that's what happens with these franchises I don't have much experience with. But let me know, is this a good one? Should I put more time into it? I probably did not give this nearly enough of a shot this week, but it was after Homefront, and I don't know. After playing a couple like Shadowrun, Homefront, and then Hitman, I'm like, okay, I need something good. I need to put something good in here to get the juices flowing. And boy, did I. And that game is one that needs no introduction. There are several different variant versions of this on the 360. I mean, you'll see them range from 10 to 20. There's some super expensive ones, but they're all exceptionally worth it. And if you are a fan of CD Projekt Red's The Witcher 3, I was not aware that The Witcher 2 was on the 360. And this is the enhanced edition silver box. I don't know if this came in something or else, but it seems to be a much more linear Witcher experience, at least at the offset. I started off and I'm being interrogated in a prison by some dude in a turban, and you have 3 different options. Each option you select gives you a different kind of little scenario of the day. So one, you're waking up meeting the king, which the king is incredible. Now, there's a cutscene at the beginning of the game showing a king get assassinated, and the game is called Assassin of Kings. So I don't know if that's the same king you're dealing with, or if this king is now under threat because someone is assassinating people. I have played The Witcher 3, and I probably heard some of the events of this game be foretold, but think of it like, you've watched Star Wars, now you're going to watch the prequels, but if the prequels were actually good, don't hate me, I'm sorry guys, I was 10 when they came out, I do not have the nostalgia for them. Revenge of the Sith is good, but the first 2, come on guys. But this game is good, and it really, the combat definitely was not as finessed as it was in Witcher 3, but it has the same DNA. So it is like going back in a time capsule and uncovering almost like a DLC of The Witcher 3 or something of that nature that's still very serviceable. Now, I'm not a frame rate junkie. I'm not a visuals junkie, so I don't mind if it doesn't have 60 frames per second. I don't care about that. I mean, for years, I was playing games blind, pretty much. I can't see very well without my glasses, so that doesn't bother me. I want good gameplay, and this had some solid-ass gameplay, and really was unfortunate having to put this game down. I mean, Jen was in there hanging out with me at the time when I was playing this, and I put the game down. She's like, what are you doing? Why aren't you playing? I thought you were having fun. I'm like, yeah, I need to play enough to get an idea of what it's about and then move on to the next one. And she's like, well, that sucks. Yeah, it does. But The Witcher 2, highly recommended. If you like third-person action combat games. Now, you did level up. It does have, armor. It does have encumbering systems, so I'm sure some of the more RPG elements will let themselves be known the deeper in the game you get. And I don't know if eventually it does open up. I think you are on a linear path the whole time, which if that's the case, much like in Dark Messiah, I'm all for that. I'm so tired of being given endless choice that leads to wasting time when I just want a solid story. So yeah, big one. Pick that one up because it's cheap. All right, now here we go. We got a few left. So this is one that I'm just throwing out there because it's a pretty dang solid compilation, and if you like the 360, it's a good way to play a lot of these games. I'm not a huge fan of the arcades. I was in the arcade a lot, but I never really gravitated too much towards the arcade games. I was always waiting for the home conversions. But around this time, PS2 era, GameCube era, then the 360, we started getting these compilations of a lot of brands' arcade games. And one of the more comprehensive ones was the Midway Arcade Origins. Yeah, Midway Arcade Origins, which just has a lot of fun games and then a lot of obscure ones you've never heard of, like Bubbles. They got things like Marbled Madness, which is another game I really enjoy. Smash TV, Sinistar, the Root Beer Tapper, which is the PC version of Tapper, Robotron 2084, Rampart. So a lot of solid arcade games, and you can play them in local co-op. You can just play them with endless quarters, things of that nature. And it's fun. It's dumb fun. It's a cheap one, too. You should be able to still find that for, between $5 to $15 complete. And it's just it's a solid compilation. That's what I mean. If you're into the retro scene like I am, sometimes it's nice to have these, especially because these weren't released on home consoles. Now, probably these have been released to death too. You can find them. There's also the NES conversions of things like Joust, etc. But yeah, one to pick up if you're just looking to beef up your collection, have a little bit more diversity of games in there, because certain things you can't find. Like Super Smash TV is just fun to play. Robotron 2084 is just fun to play. Bubble is really a lot of fun. I'd never even heard of that game before. All right, now this is one that I went into it expecting one experience and got a different one, and that game is Dark Void. So another game that you can find dirt cheap, between $5 to $10 complete. On the surface, it looks like you're going to be playing as the Rocketeer Iron Man type game. And when the game starts, you are in a combat scenario like that where you're going up against aliens. And then immediately you're taken to some, King Kong 40s, 30s-esque area with you and this girl flying in a plane. And then you're going into the Bermuda Triangle. So already you should know it's about to go down. Plane crashes, you land on it, then I'm like, whoa, am I in Lost right now? What's going on? And then suddenly you're on an island filled with evil robots? I didn't see that coming. And you see all these big tough dudes get murdered, and then you and the girl pick up a gun and then can suddenly start holding your own against these robots. And I both like and dislike this game. Now, I'm still recommending it because it is so cheap. And it's got some very interesting concepts. Now, in this game, it plays with verticality for a third-person shooter in a way I've never seen before. So what will happen is that you will come up to a ledge, and then you can hit the X button, and that will have you look over the ledge, and then you can start shooting left and right, or traversing down by hitting X, and it automatically gets you down there instead of having to kind of Castlevania 64 jump between platforms very poorly. This one allows you to jump down and then jump side to side, and it eventually allows you to jump up once you get the jetpack. But it isn't a free roaming jetpack game, at least not at the beginning, not for the first 2 or 3 chapters. And my other issue is that in games like this where you have robot antagonists, it's very hard to get a satisfactory kill shot. I had the same kind of problem in Binary Domain and Terminator Salvation, where there's no health bar above them, so you're not getting the satisfaction of watching a health bar drop. And there's not the satisfaction in, say, like a Gears of War, where you get that real bullet-hitting meat feel, and if you're getting a headshot, it feels like you're doing something. Instead, you're hitting a robot, you're hitting a pot, and then eventually the pot crumbles. And I just don't find that all that satisfying. I just don't. And that was the I liked the ideas behind the verticality of the combat, looking down and then dodging. Like, as far as the cover-based shooter goes, I've never seen any game do that, and it probably isn't done anymore because the game likely didn't do well because it had other issues. But I think that would be a very interesting concept used in someone's more competent hands, if that makes sense. And even if they had, like, I like it when I get a headshot, having that take the enemy out. That makes me, or if there's a health bar. That's why everything has health bars now, is because you need that immediate feedback loop to show you that your aim and your precision and everything that you're putting into the game matters. Otherwise, I'm just going to lazily shoot the chest or shoot this or that, and there's no point to it. So it's one of those things where in games, I look for reasons to be impressed with myself as far as, wow, I did that, and then that allowed me to take out the enemy faster, and then makes me look more impressive in my mind. You know, to someone watching me, I look like a nerd playing a game, but it makes me feel like I'm more competent at the game. That's why things like the 50 Cent game, when you get a headshot, or with the Dead to Rights Retribution, when you're getting those things, like, or you're throwing people off, like, those are satisfaction game loops, and this one just didn't have one. And getting deeper into the game, finding these interesting mechanics, made me want to like the game more than it had any right to have. But it does make me recommend it, so I would pick that one up. And the last game we're going to talk about was not a game I even knew came out on the 360. I thought there were only so many of these, and then lo and behold, when I looked into Arkham Origins, it had me looking at the rabbit hole of, like I said, I look for sequels of games I didn't know had sequels. One of the first games I got on the 360 back in 2008, I want to say, was Ninja Gaiden 2. I got this right before I went on summer break in college, and I had a blast with it. I really enjoyed it. It was super difficult, but it was nice dismembering the enemies. You get to hit them with your sword. Their arms would come off, legs would come off, heads, etc. Well, lo and behold, there was a third game to come out. Now, there is a third one called Razor's Edge. I don't have that one. I think that's just DLC, though. But the one I did get was Ninja Gaiden 3. And I think this is still about a $20 game. So I didn't know another Ninja Gaiden came out on the 360. I thought after Ninja Gaiden 2 was like Ninja Gaiden Sigma and all those other ones that were on the Wii U and the PS3. But no, Ninja Gaiden 3, I think it takes place right after Ninja Gaiden 2. It's been so long since I played Ninja Gaiden 2. We're talking, 15 years? So I don't quite remember where it ended. But it seems like you start immediately in the fray, and you're mainly taking out humans. And it still has that same fast-paced, frenetic combat, but I didn't really feel that it had the same level of dismemberment yet. And overall, still a fun game. Still a fun game. The brief time I did play with it, I think I still would recommend 2 over 3. But if you like 2, then there's a lot to like in 3 as well. And it doesn't have that Platinum Games feel, so it doesn't, not that that's a good or a bad thing, it feels a little bit different, so it doesn't feel like you're just playing another Bayonetta or Metal Gear Rising or Astral Chain or anything like that. It does feel like Ninja Gaiden 2. But one to just, if you're into Ninja Gaiden, pick it up. Though I'd probably tell you to get Razor's Edge, because I probably messed up not getting that one, because I'm sure it has DLCs, because I did notice there was a bunch of paid DLCs that I didn't pay for, because we're not made of money, people. But anyways, that is it. There is another 10 games for you. I think we got like 2 more of these in me, guys. Like I said, we're running dry in the well. I am starting to lose interest in just covering 360. But I could be wrong. I don't know. I didn't expect to find Blood in the Sand and Fall of Cybertron, so who knows. And like I said, we've gained so many subs. Thank you guys so much for being here week in, week out. Thank you for the comments, the likes, the subscribes. Just to let you know, I do read every comment. I can't respond to them because I've noticed the algorithm doesn't like that. I don't know why. But I do read them, and I do appreciate them, even the negative ones. Just be respectful, people. You know, you can say anything you want. Just don't be rude, and don't be rude to each other. Otherwise, you might find yourself hidden from the channel. I'm sorry. I don't like, that's not what we're trying to do. We're trying to have a nice community. But anyways, it's been so nice getting a hold of you guys. Take care.